If you or a family member have been hurt because of the careless actions of another person, call Walker, Texas Lawyer. They'll work to get you the financial compensation and justice you deserve. They have 40 years of experience, and you don't pay unless you win. Call 713-881-9653 today for a consultation or go to walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Chris Tucker is in the building. Chris Tucker, good morning to you.
Hey, Brad. Good morning to you. How are you?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What lovely to talk to me, funny lad.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat, Brad Gilmore.
And he's joining me right now on the line to talk about the brand new book, I Am Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a very important story from a very important author. Mr. Brad Meltzer joins us back on the show. Brad, how are things been? Congrats on the book.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back. Very excited for it.
You know, this is a part of a series of books that you've done on several influential figures, whether it's Amelia Earhart, or Abraham Lincoln, Rosa Parks, or, we're on the precipice of Martin Luther King Day. Why was RGB the next subject that you wanted to tackle?
This series was launched because I wanted to give my kids better heroes to look up to, heroes of kindness and perseverance. And we started with I'm Amelia Earhart and I am Abraham Lincoln. But this is a 10-year anniversary. We knew we wanted to go with someone big. She was the number one most requested hero we got from kids. And so here we are doing I Am Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and certainly one of my daughter's favorites. And that's literally how we got there. We listened to the kids and what they want.
What do you think it was about Ruth Bader Ginsburg that made her so requested?
I think what it is obviously she's made icon status, and that's a hard thing to do. That's not why I picked her. I picked her because her story was incredible. When she was a little girl, we think of her as, now as a serious Supreme Court justice, but as a little girl, Ruth Bader Ginsburg just wanted to run around and play tag and climb trees and go on adventures. But when she was growing up, it was a time when girls didn't do that. They would tell her, you can't do that. You're a girl. Girls don't do that. And it's her mother who breaks that stereotype. Her mom takes her to the library every Friday afternoon and would tell her, you can pick out 5 books, Ruth. And among the books she liked most were books about real heroes. Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman. And it's there she learns one of life's great lessons. There's absolutely nothing that a girl can't do. And I want my daughter to have that lesson. I want my sons to have that lesson. And as a book, for 5 years old to 10, 12 years old, that's what I Am Ruth Bader Ginsburg is all about.
For anybody who's read about her or even seen the movie that was based on her life or just, done their research about RGB, as people call her, an incredible life, a fascinating life, and one that's... let me ask you this. I know all these stories are important to you because you want your kids to have better heroes. You want all kids to have better heroes. As far as Supreme Court justices, I know there's been so many, but I would like to think if you walk up to someone on the street and be like, name a Supreme Court justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is probably the first name they come out with, right?
It is pretty crazy, right? And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of Saturday Night Live. I don't know if it's because she passed away and, but Sandra Day O'Connor just passed away, and somehow RBG has just become this it's like Andre the Giant. People are going to do graffiti. They dress up as her. I just had a book signing, and all these little kids dressed up like her. And I don't know what it is. I think there's just something in her that is her story. She's not. The book has no politics in it. So I put Sandra Day O'Connor in the book. I put Amy Coney Barrett in the book. I put my friend Ketanji Brown Jackson in the book. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg stands for that ideal of how you make change. You know, when she's little, her mother used to, instead of having birthday parties, would take her to the local Jewish orphanage, and they would give out ice cream instead. And she learns right there, that's how you make it. You make change yourself. That's not a lesson she gets from and learns in law school. It's not a lesson she learns on the Supreme Court. It's a lesson she gets from her amazing mother. We all have this, you know, amazing advice from our treasured moms, right? And I think people love that about her. They're like, this woman makes the change herself, teaches and makes the world a better place herself. And that's all these kids' books are to us, is it's my trying to put a little more good in the world. And it's just that version that Ruth Bader Ginsburg used to do herself. She used the law, we use books.
Right. I Am Ruth Bader Ginsburg by Brad Meltzer is available. It's the story of the great RBG. Now, let me ask you this. You know, we're here in Houston, Texas right now, and one of the great Houston residents of all time was the late, great President George H.W. Bush. If I have this right, you were called by him to come and read to him kind of in his last days. Is that correct?
This is one of my, yes. When he was a dear friend of mine, him and Barbara Bush were dear friends of mine. And right before he died, I couldn't tell, they wouldn't let us tell his story then. But before he died, they were bringing in some of his favorite authors to read to him. And I got the call. And I was in Kennebunkport, Maine at the time. My wife and I go in. The Secret Service tell me, listen, he's really, at this point, he's barely awake. You're going to read to him about 5-10 minutes. He's going to fall asleep. He's sleeping most of the days now. So I said, no problem. I'm honored to be here. Secret Service leaves the room. It's just myself, my wife, President Bush, and his service dog, Sully. And I can look at him. I know it's the end. And I say, sir, you want to read this book? I brought a copy of The First Conspiracy, a book I wrote, a true story about a real-life secret plot to kill George Washington. And he and President Clinton have both given me blurbs on the book. And he says, it's on his desk. He has a stack of books on his desk. He's got that one there. He says, because he can't speak anymore. He's just, or And I start reading, and sure enough, 5-10 minutes in, he's asleep. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to finish my book and get out of here. Finish the chapter, I mean. And I get to those words, because the section that I bring to read to him about is the moment where George Washington has the Declaration of Independence read to his troops for the very first time. And I get to those words we all know. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And in that moment, President Bush, his eyes pop open. He's wide awake. And it's like he's got an infusion now from the Declaration of Independence. I get to the end of the chapter. I say, sir, you want to read another chapter? I get to the end of that chapter. You want to read another, sir? And another? And instead of reading one chapter to him and being there for 5 or 10 minutes, I'm there for an hour. At the end of the hour, I say goodbye to him. I know I'm never going to see him again. But to be able to read about the very first president of these United States to, at that point, the oldest living president of these United States, one of the most humbling, amazing moments of my life. And he and Barbara Bush were great supporters of the Ordinary People Change the World book series. I owe them forever. They used to do a lot of events raising literacy rates for kids. And what a loss. But it was one of the most amazing moments of my life.
That is an incredible story. I'm so glad that you shared that with us and our audience. Brad, continue doing the great work that you're doing. I Am Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Definitely a story that everybody should know and a book that everybody should pick up. And I just appreciate you taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate it.